Hello guys, this is Fred from Profile and Today I get to talk with two of my favorite artists, Marco Minnemann and Randy McStine. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Very, very well. Good to see you. And thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure. I will not elaborate on all the projects and bands you guys play with because, you know, the interview would be around my ability to pronounce everything right in English, and that's not the goal. So, but I want to congratulate you guys for the wonderful career of yours. You're right there with the best of the best, as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of people here.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for saying that. We try.
Again, we're all in this together. We distantiate ourselves with others. We basically stay at home to protect ourselves and the population around us. Some bands have decided to postpone their release of their new album. Some even will push the release date to 2021. I guess it's not the case with you guys.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, go. You can go ahead. I mean,
I think, for us especially, yes, with my band, the Aristocrats, we did postpone tour dates. However, the release dates, I think, personally speaking, I think are important, to kind of get albums out to the people, because that's the only thing we have right now as musicians, kind of, making music available, to the fans and, to our following and also to ourselves. I think it's a very rewarding procedure, to kind of, write at home and kind of getting, giving something to the people. So, but I can see and I know, and for a fact that, like, bigger companies like Sony Music or anyone else like that, bigger labels, try to kind of combine, obviously, tours with album releases, and so, yeah, that's probably kind of, a little unfortunate timing for the act to kind of, at the mercy of like a contractor or something like that, so, which is, I find it kind of saddening. So yeah, we're independent, so we kind of release it ourselves, and I think we feel the necessity to kind of get it out sooner than later.
Yeah. Have you guys had any discussions around this subject, like to postpone, to wait, or like it's never been an issue?
I mean, we might have touched on it very briefly just when we started seeing that this was becoming more commonplace, but the truth of the matter is, like Marco said, I mean, we've been working on this for a while. We're doing it independently, and we had begun to really start teasing the project and telling our fans about it, like right before everything started to kind of get crazy, particularly in the US. And yeah, I mean, it just felt like we should just go ahead and put it out, and a lot of people were interested in hearing it. Right before all of the lockdown stuff started, we did have a sort of a loose plan based around the fact that the Aristocrats were going to be going on tour, I think in late June or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we had talked about trying to have the record ready by then, and maybe even playing a couple of live dates on the West Coast, just as like a CD release kind of celebration thing. And obviously those conversations, very quickly ended by necessity, but we were still just both ready to get this music out there. So
yeah.
I think
you're set. Oh, sorry.
No, I think it's kind of, really important, as an artist. It's like, it feels like a little bit, you're preparing actually a plate of food or something. It's like, here, pizza is ready, eat it. It's like, while it's hot, so it's like it's a very rewarding feeling.
Absolutely.
And to get it out, and once you finished it, and I think everybody appreciates it. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's good. It's all good. So nice. You're set to release a brand new album, self-titled McStine and Minnemann, on July 3rd. Congratulations. Can you quickly describe the concept or the theme, if there is any?
Well, concept. Marco and I met in the fall of 2018 through another project that we were brought in individually on called In Continuum. And have you heard that record? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we were basically both hired, separately to do this record, and the reality to play some live shows suddenly entered into the picture. Dave Kersner, of course, put the band together. So we played our first gig at this festival in New Jersey, and then we flew to Chicago to play a show. And in that time, which was about a week worth of rehearsals and travel and a couple of gigs, Marco and I had a lot of time to just kind of hang out in the rehearsal room, but of course outside, because we were just in this town in New Jersey, basically. And over time, just I think really found that we had a lot of common interests in musical tastes and stuff outside of the progressive rock realm that we were, really lighting up when we would talk about it. And we kind of carried that through over time. I was working on solo material of my own and asked Marco if he'd play on a song called Bottom Feeder Blues. Mm-hmm. And then he sort of reciprocated with a song on his solo record called Blessed. And so that we started to establish a really good working relationship through each other's music. And I think the natural progression was then to just see what it might be like to embark on like a collaborative thing. And I basically sent Marco a text one night and said, hey, what do you think about doing something together? We can keep it just the two of us and, no expectations. Let's do like an EP. Well, I'll pick a few of my songs, you pick a few of his, and see where it goes. And, it really kind of moved along quickly. I think as we started sending ideas back and forth, it was very clear that there was a really good chemistry already. And what was really cool about it is that stylistically speaking, there was really no preconceived notion of what we set out to do. We didn't say like, we want to make this kind of record or that kind of record. It just happened to naturally turn out the way it was. And, I think the record has a kind of an interesting arc because of it.
Okay.
Nothing else from that.
Basically, like it was songs that you guys wrote and you put it all together. So there's not really a concept to the album as per se.
Well, the concept is basically, our musical input, and that it kind of, sort of agrees with each other, So I think, the best, one of my favorite moments was, when we started sending each other text messages with what's on our record player right now, like a Public Image Limited record, or this and that, or Gary Newman, Tubeway Army, and we were like, holy shit, I know that too. And then we started geeking out about it and kind of discovered that we know pretty much the same details and share the same love, for that, And so I guess that really reflects also in our writing and our music. So basically when we sent each other the songs, which were pretty much already kind of pretty completed songs, and then, we would let, each other kind of, add like toppings to it or kind of, mess with it and do things, and which is great. Cross-pollination is good, I guess. But we could pretty quickly kind of figure out, that basically we're pulling on the same strings, that's what we say in Germany. Like we have like the same ideas and sort of it comes together exactly in an agreeable, wonderful way. And that's why actually the album, sounds like, very in sync, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just like any new projects, people don't know what to expect and what direction the musicians decided to take. If you could, like each of you describe McStine and Minnemann's music to someone who doesn't have a clue of what you're doing, how would you do that?
You go first.
Oh, no. I don't know. For me, this album has, first of all, a pretty good energy. It's like a high energy. It's almost like a pop punk record, with a little bit of edge to it, So you find like, complex parts, but, you find also like very, very accessible songs. And I guess, the songs are pretty, and I guess that was sort of a concept. I think we purposely really did that. The songs came out, fast and furious and also short and precise. Like, so it is a typical vinyl album, what you would buy actually in 1979 or something like that, So you have like 10 songs, but they're like, very focused. And except for mine. Randy's are focused, mine are all over the place. And so, but no, it was like the thing, that we really, I would say like, sort of a, pop punk wave album with a little bit of avant-garde feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first thing, is you want to start throwing around different names of artists and stuff, and I think the thing with this record is it has a very cohesive sound to it, but each song kind of offers some different elements, and because of the influences that we were discussing back and forth, it was very easy to sort of communicate a certain kind of vibe or a certain kind of texture based on the song, to say like, hey, let's do fill in the blank kind of thing here. It wasn't like a premeditated or like a really conscious thing to try to sound like anything in particular. It just, we're pulling from so many different areas that we're kind of channeling it into this kind of hard punk rock kind of thing in the middle, but obviously with a lot of intricate musicianship. And I would say also a lot of maybe unconventional song structures. Some of the songs follow what might be considered a typical verse, chorus, bridge kind of thing. But then other ones, they kind of, give you the impression that you're going somewhere and then completely take a left turn. And so I think as an album, even though the songs are short, it's there's a lot of misdirection, so it feels to me when I listen to it like a very satisfying meal or like a long journey, but it's in a condensed amount of time.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also kind of, I think it's really important with an album like this, because of the information, that it carries, that we didn't want to risk, I guess, to have the people being overwhelmed and kind of, to present it actually exactly in the nice amount of time, that everybody can digest and go like, oh, cool, that was a statement. I guess it was more about making a statement, really, and I guess, that's what we had in mind, first of all, when we thought about releasing it as an EP, concentrating on 6 songs, right? But then, as Randy said before, and all of a sudden, it came together so quickly and so natural that all of a sudden we started kind of saying like, okay, we might as well just do an album and put 10 songs on. Right?
Yeah, and it's an album is not like, it's not any way more expensive really than an EP. Just a few more songs. I mean,
yeah. And I tell you what, and these days actually, if I may add, to the last point that I said there, I find recently that the attention span of the people is much shorter because there's like, through people downloading music and all this kind of stuff, nobody really concentrates anymore on listening to like a 40-track, 3 LP album, It seems like nobody's taking the time to it, It depends on how long you sit in the car or, whatever you do at home. So I think actually it comes back to a vinyl format, which is a paradox because vinyl is a celebration itself. You had to actually you have to put it on a turntable, switch the side over, but it was like kind of a cool feeling. It was a performance. You had to concentrate on the music, and I guess, that's the wonderful bit of kind of this album here, that it never feels lengthy. It feels precise, I think. That's I think really what I find the beauty of it.
But us progressive rock fans, we like those 3 vinyls box sets.
Yeah, of course.
Was there any attempt to sign with a label at some point, or it's fine the way it is right now?
It's a conversation that we kind of drifted in and out of over time, but ultimately I think we kind of arrived at this idea that given that it's our first album together and it's something that we both really are quite proud of, it's one of those things where, from a marketing perspective, and Marco has much more experience in this realm than I do, I think it is something that is difficult to put into a really neat box. And I just over time kind of suspected that maybe no matter where we might have taken it, I don't know what kind of representation it would have had, in terms of trying to explain it to people. It just seemed like it might be easier to do it ourselves, and through interviews like this, just kind of get a chance to actually talk about what it means to us and how we feel about it. you know.
It's only the two of us in the first place, you know, with also the help from one of our Aristocrats managers, Chris Clarehout, who you know, right? You know, and he's a really, really nice guy. I'm pronouncing his name wrong now. Chris Clarehout. I know he's probably listening, and he goes like, ah. So, so you know, it's great that we have like, you know, people who, you know, believe in us and, you know, help us with these kind of things, scheduling and such. But it's not like that we are like a 6-piece band and we need like, you know, some sort of hub, you know, to control us or to kind of, you know, sort of focus on us, you know. So we can do this ourselves. We're kind of, you know, an intimate band ourselves, so to speak, you know. And so and with you know, outlets like Bandcamp, CD Baby, and what we're doing right now here and all our social media presence, I guess, you know, we're reaching pretty much the same goal. Yeah. Only that we're keeping our publishing rights, which is good.
There is that part, you know. I mean, it's kind of it's obviously the music industry. It's a new age, and things are always kind of shifting. I mean, like personally, I'm a big fan of podcasts. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and you know, I've just learned a lot from listening to, like, say, comedians talk to other comedians about their craft, and there's kind of there's an ownership that's possible now because we have access to a lot of the same distribution tools, you know, and that, of course, wasn't always the case.
Yep.
It's a double-edged sword because obviously it means that, you know, with the lack of gatekeepers, it means that there's a giant ocean of noise that you have to kind of try to fight through, you know, so I think that creates its own kind of difficulty, but at least in this case, and you know, we can control our own narrative, which I think is important.
Like
and you know, our sense of productivity, you know, when the two of us really get going, even though we're on opposite coasts, you know, we can get things happening very quickly, ideas back and forth, and that's exciting too, because obviously we can release music whenever we feel it necessary and not have to wait for somebody's budget, you know, to say like, well, we have to slot you in the third quarter of whatever. So, and who knows? I mean, over time that could totally change, but it just felt right the first time out to kind of own it.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because you talked already about going from an EP to a full-size album. Was it mainly due to the amount of songs you guys had written, or something else?
No. Like I explained before, we were trying to do an EP just to kind of see, you know, what'll happen if we can stir some attention. But, you know, so we're both pretty prolific writers and have like an array of songs ready to go. And just the way we kind of conceived the songs and sort of, you know, worked on them together and also separately, it came together in a very pleasing manner. You know, everybody loved each other's work, and all of a sudden we were sitting there with like 10 songs like that, and actually a few more in petto for a follow-up, if you know, right, if we want to, and I guess we do want to do that. So yeah, so that was a complete natural progress and process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a chance to listen to the promo a couple times, and I was very, very impressed with the depth and how great it sounds. Like, it looks like you guys are 6 musicians playing like together on this album. Can you tell us who played what instrument, like at large, and how did you come up with the split of responsibilities?
That's a good question. You go.
Good question. Well, I mean, I was well aware through Marco's own work how prolific of a writer and guitarist he is, beyond just being known as a drummer, and lyricist as well, and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, I think I knew early on, I had it in my head that I wanted to play bass on the record. Funny enough, even though most people know me as a guitar player, the bass was like the one thing I knew that I really wanted to do. I felt like as a cohesive thing, it would be really cool to have like a consistent rhythm section across all of the songs. But beyond that, you know, obviously I basically am accountable for most of the vocals throughout the record, and Marco sings lead on one of his songs, and some backing vocals throughout. But other than that, really, the rest of the instrumentation, I mean, I was completely wide open to us splitting duties with everything else, you know. So we'll have to get you the liner notes, but basically track to track, you know, both of us are playing keyboards and guitars, and you know, obviously he's doing all of the drums and everything. But yeah, I mean, knowing that we're both instrumentalists, multi-instrumentalists, I thought it would just be cool if we, again, just kept it the two of us, with the exception of one song where we have a guy named Harry Waters who plays piano.
Okay.
On one song.
Which song is it?
He plays on a song called "The Closer," which is like the ballad on the record. And but yeah, the rest of it was just us.
Okay, good. About the writing process, I mean, you guys already said, like, you came up with each your own songs that you had written, and but was there any songs that were co-written, like you guys both work on the same song and created from scratch?
Yes, I think, you know, just to stick actually with the song "The Closer," I think, you know, that is the best example.
Okay.
That is a song that we truly co-wrote, you know, because okay, that story, I try to make it really quick.
Yeah.
I worked together with Alex Lifeson as well from Rush, you know, that so we collaborate for years now, and so, you know, there was this one kind of thing where he sent over an idea, and we collaborated on the song, and I came up with a chorus. And then we kind of, you know, stopped that song for some reason. You know, other things that we did were kind of more promising. That one song didn't lead anywhere. So we kind of put it on the shelf for now, you know. But then Randy kind of picked it up because, you know, we were planning on working on this all together because I sent it over to you. But it was really an idea that didn't get anywhere, you know. But all of a sudden, you know, while I was actually touring, Randy sent me this demo and goes like, hey, you know, I wrote this song called "The Closer." And he took the chorus and kind of, you know, elaborated on that and actually basically kind of wrote a whole song around it, which was really incredibly beautiful and sounds like, you know, very very in sync with each other with the parts. So it's that's a true collaboration. That's actually a song which I enjoyed the most. I'm actually not even on it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a piece, and this is like, I think, the first time really that happened. That actually I have a writing credit for something, or part writing credit, and can just watch it and see like what happened with it. Yeah, it was beautiful. I really enjoyed that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and there's another song on the record called "Falling from Grace," which also, you know, that came from Marco's sector, and that has its own story behind it too. But that kind of ended up turning into a co-write based on the amount of melodic contribution that I made to that particular track. You know, that one felt right as a collaboration. And but, you know, listen, the truth of the matter is, like, when you really get down to it, Marco was saying earlier that a lot of these songs kind of came somewhat fully formed, and then we would add spices, you know, here and there. But I truly think that, you know, it's the influence of each other on each other's work that leads to, you know, a common goal of making it much better than it is. I mean, I could play you my demos and vice versa, and you could say like, oh, well, that's the song. But it's what happens from the point of, you know, basically sharing it with the other person, having them do something with it, and how it influences you. I never mentioned this to Marco, but there's a song on there called Your Offenses, which is a song that I wrote. And, you know, he played the drum part before I had finished writing the lyrics. And I wrote some lyrics in that song around some of his drum fills, you know, to try to, you know, basically just sync it up. And that's like a very Neil Peart thing to do, right? Like, it's one of the things that he was really brilliant at, because he was the drummer and the lyricist.
Yeah. He
knew where to play a certain fill or how to hang back. And that was a part of his brilliance. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff on the record too, where it's like, he does something and then it causes me to change how I arrange the parts so that we can highlight certain aspects of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, there are like, a few really nice moments, and also like in Program, I remember that was one of the first songs actually, I guess that we worked on together, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And especially in the last, I think the last chorus section, I kind of did like some additional keyboard parts or certain other things that actually harmonically put the whole thing into a little different perspective. I was first unsure whether Randy might like it or not, but it ended up being in the song now anyways, and I think it puts it into a different vibe all of a sudden, and it kind of gets like a little more elaborate and kind of puts you in a different journey, on the so these kind of little things happen with our songs, even if we send like fully formed songs, each of us contributes something that puts a little bit of a stamp on it, for a certain part, for a certain amount. Some more, some less. Yeah.
We at Profile were dedicated to progressive rock, and you two, like, you're well known for your participation in a number of prog rock projects. Okay, this album, I know you guys are running away a little bit from prog rock, but do you still think that your followers will follow you in that project?
Well, I'll let Marco take it, but I mean, all I would say is that my involvement in progressive rock is sort of a thing where like I grew up loving it and it's a big part of who I am. But I think overall, a lot of the music that I've made has kind of it's always kind of teetered on the line. I've never. It's very rare that I've like intentionally set out to make a progressive rock record, but because it's a part of the the soup, those elements always find their way in, and this gets back to that framing question that I was talking about earlier when it comes to like labels, so if we were to pitch this to a progressive rock label, would they say this is progressive or this isn't progressive? Well, now we're going to get into the minutia of what the definition is, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that always ends up being a dead end, because to me, like, this is the kind of progressive record for my tastes that I would feel confident playing this for most people who like that kind of music and say, like, look, I would just expect that there would be some carryover there. It may not be like on the nose, progressive rock as we know it, where you're going down the checklist to make sure that we've done all of the right, ingredients. But I think the spirit of it and the elements that are there, and maybe this is just because I'm so inside of it, I don't know how you couldn't link the two,
Yeah, exactly.
Totally agree. Yeah.
I don't have much to add there. That was actually pretty brilliant. I mean, I can only say from my roots, that I always kind of react. I have to laugh when that comes along, because I never really grew up with progressive music, and I had little progressive records. I grew up with Queen, Led Zeppelin, Frank Zappa, The Police, Kate Bush. Some of them might be progressive names, but I do like Jethro Tull, but for me, they were almost like folk rock, a little bit like that. But the total thing that was like defined really in the prog, realm, like especially in the 70s, like people with like fantasy covers and long songs, that I never liked. So but I stumbled into it then later, because people started booking me for their records, which were defined as progs, and so a lot of people mistake me for a prog musician. But I'm more home in metal than I was in prog, for example, more in jazz. The Aristocrats, is not really a prog band,
Yeah.
But having said that, that doesn't mean obviously that I'm against that whole thing. And what is prog anyways? Meanwhile, you can define Nine Inch Nails as prog. Radiohead can be prog. So it's a beautiful thing. But I still have to.
I agree. It's a genre, and it doesn't define like everything. But I consider myself a prog rock fan, and I love your album. So. Don't worry. Like I think this is fine. Like there's plenty of emotions and everything, like those checklists, you checked most of them. Marco, back in 2019, you released an incredible album titled My Sister, which is right here.
Hey, look at that. Thank you.
And Randy played, like you said, two songs. I'm pretty sure. I'm not.
Yes.
So tell me, was the response up to your expectations, and any projects on the way for a follow-up?
You mean like, for a solo effort of mine?
For another solo.
Well, right now, look, My Sister album, personally speaking, right now, isn't that old. It just came out
Exactly.
You remember that, it's half a year old now. So, and, all the writing now, I kind of enjoy the seasons. I try to, I don't like repetition so much, So I like to kind of try new things. And so I guess, seeing how beautiful, our album now came together, I kind of like to, stick, with that for a while and kind of, see like what else we can do together. I guess that's a beautiful thing. So it would be absolutely foolish, speaking for myself, to now work and announce a new solo album when ours is just up for pre.
I know. It's
So, but obviously we both, I think, can speak for Randy probably too, But we always work on songs, There's always something coming around, For myself speaking again, it's like, and then I direct it in, what could it be good for? Could it be an Aristocrat song? Could it be on my new solo album? Yep. Could this be something we work together for a new McStine and Minnemann release? So that's how I see this really. So yes, there will be something coming out. What it is and what direction it goes, you'll never know.
About you, Randy, I saw you supporting the Pineapple Thief in Quebec last year. I took the opportunity to purchase your album as well, titled Idol.
Yes.
Which I listen to like all the time. It's probably ruined already. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marco participated on one of the songs, right?
Right.
One, two, one. Yep. You must be quite proud of this album. It's so good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I am. It's the interesting thing about Idol is that it talk about not having a concept. I wasn't focused on making a record in 2019. I had shifted towards the idea of just releasing singles, which is something that a lot of prog fans in particular were totally not on board with. That every time I'd release a song, it was like, "Where's the album? Where's the album?" And
vinyl. We want the vinyl.
Exactly. But I was just really more so enjoying the process of going song to song, and actually there was a real freedom to it for me, because I have always been a big fan of the album as a format, as a concept. I love the arc and the journey of like putting together the right track list, and but in this case, I was deliberately trying to get away from that and just work on songs, and it just happened to be that when it came time to put them all together as a collection, it really did hang together as a record anyway. And there was a lot of, lyrical themes that kind of ran through everything. So, even though I didn't intentionally make one, it kind of turned out that way, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah,
it's super. Knowing that you guys play all the instruments on the album, is there a plan to promote it on stage with other musicians at some point in the near future?
The virus will tell.
The word near future might be a little hard, but we'll see.
Oh, in the not so distant future, I'm not sure how to say it.
Yeah.
Well, I think, we were planning on doing live shows, so it might actually happen, see when, but also one part of your question was, if we would, bring that as multi-instrumentalists on stage. But, well, the good thing that we have here with this album is that we both, yes, we do play the instruments, but also the songs are sort of in a format that we would be able to translate it, basically Randy maybe, playing bass and guitar and singing, or maybe mainly guitar and singing, I guess, and then we take a bass player in to our group, and then maybe a keyboardist, who also can do like a little bit of vocal harmonies or play other things.
Yeah,
That was the idea. Yeah.
Okay. I'm done with the big questions. I still have a few more questions, but they only require 1 or 2 word answers. So I'm going to ask the question. You can both answer.
Okay.
Which one would you prefer, playing in a festival or on a cruise?
Cruise.
Yeah. How about a cruise festival?
Hey.
I know it's early to talk about an album number 2. You kind of answered that question already, but is it the intention for another album after this one?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff. One album you would never get rid of, no matter what.
Ooh.
Jazz by Queen.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
One size fits all, Frank Zappa.
Nice.
Wow. Marco, you're German-born. Randy, you're American, right?
Yes.
So, Marco, what's your favorite German band of all time?
Kraftwerk.
And Randy, your favorite American band?
Oh man, that's so hard. Well, in the spirit of this record, I always have to give some love to King's X because
Nice.
they're good friends and a huge influence throughout my life, and still one of those bands. People know them and people don't, and everybody should go back and discover that early catalog.
I'm going to switch role. Marco, what's your favorite U.S. band?
Oh my God. My favorite US band. Dude. Fuck. Hang on. I don't know. There are many bands, that I like. That's for me always a very, very difficult question. I'm usually pretty quick at this, but right now I'm failing.
I'm trying to scan my record.
Yeah, I'm kind of scanning that right now too. I'm just like, here, check this out. I'm gonna scroll through my iPod and then I to my phone, and then I'll tell you, give you an answer pretty quickly. That's what comes to mind. Hang on, artist or band?
Oh, as you wish.
Frank Zappa.
Absolutely. And Randy, a German band.
Well, I can't say Kraftwerk because then we would just,
You can.
Man, that's hard actually. Well, since this is a prog chat, I could say that I grew up around a lot of Eloy records.
I knew that was happening.
Love it. If you could buy tickets for one of these shows, which one would it be? A Genesis reunion or a Pink Floyd reunion?
Well, Pink Floyd cannot really reunite anymore, right? But Richard Wright is gone.
True. But Roger and
I would strangely personally pick Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Yeah, same. I was gonna say which Genesis, but the fact of the matter is that's its own topic, right? Reunions. I think Floyd would still be something that would be more to my taste at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna make you think a little bit. One word to describe McStine and Minnemann. One word.
Precise.
Oh, precise.
Adventurous.
Very nice. Think about it for a second. It could be for a financial reason or just pride, but what song you wish you had written?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
That would be my pick as well. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Probably something by Neil Finn from Crowded House.
Whoa, I love fucking Neil Finn, man.
Yeah.
Have you listened to his album Out of Silence, the new one?
Only a little bit, surprisingly, but I got to spend more time with it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
The session was filmed live in the studio, so to speak. It was like a whole thing. It's with an orchestra. One of my recently favorite albums, I have to say.
See, This is worth putting a spotlight on, though, because this is exactly what happens whenever we talk about music, which is a discovery of something unexpected. You know, so now that'll be in my brain, and it's like, okay, Marco likes Neil Finn. Well, that, to me, as a songwriter, that opens up like a whole new...
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Try Whistling This and 1-0. 1-0, also a great album.
Yeah, amazing stuff. So there you go.
Yeah.
One artist, dead or alive, you wish you could play with live.
Well, Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. I'm not gonna pull any names, but I guess conceptually, just anybody who has great songs. Great songs and cool guitar parts to play.
Yeah.
You know, I really, I mean, I love a lot of different guitar players and all sorts of things. But when you really get down to it, that combination of cool songs and great parts, well, like Brian May is a perfect example. You know, you've got these amazing songs and really creative approaches to them, and to me, that's, if you can combine those two things, then you're really onto something.
Yeah.
And last quick question: do you guys recall what was the first album you ever owned?
Yeah, News of the World by Queen.
Not a Queen.
Yeah,
Love it.
So I grew up around my dad's record collection. It's actually kind of hard for me to remember the first record I personally owned, but I think one of the first things that was ever gifted to me, 2 records, Jimi Hendrix Smash Hits.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a compilation record, and Ozzy Osbourne Blizzard of Oz, because I'm actually named after Randy Rhoads.
Oh, nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Just so you know, guys. Oh, sorry.
No, Blizzard of Oz was named after Randy Rhoads?
I was named after Randy Rhoads.
Oh, you were? I was like,
Yeah,
wait.
yeah.
Dude, really? Oh, man. Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I can tell you an interesting Randy Rhoads story when we're off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's buried here, actually, just a few exits down.
No kidding. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ozzy's still coming once a year to his grave there, and yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's actually very, very beautiful. So it's, but anyways, so yeah.
Just so you know, guys, my 2 favorite songs so far. Okay, I've listened to it twice today. Program and Fly, but that can change tomorrow. Probably Closer and something else. But definitely, I really, those 2 songs, they stuck with me right away. That's it, guys. It was lots of fun. Thank you so much for accepting the invite on Profile.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And I wish you tons of success with the brand new project. And once I hang off, I'm just going to go listen to it a few more times.
Okay, great. Hey, take care, okay? Be safe.
Take care, buddy. Cheers.
Here, guys.